You know how we sometimes hear one army mocking another's training? Well, in Washington, that jibe took a literal turn. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth called a meeting with 800 of the military's top brass, generals, admirals, commanders, and let's just say he did not hold back. He said he is tired of seeing quote-unquote fat troops and beardos out on the battlefield. He even warned those who don't buy into his agenda to consider resigning. Not to be outdone, Senator Lindsey Graham piled on, saying, a 600-pound man is more likely to pass up a donut than the Democrats are to shut down the government, quote-unquote. Again, using a little dark humor there to land a major political jibe. Now, is this just shock talk here, or is there some truth to those claims and what's really going on? After all, it's a matter of national security. And turns out, these 800 leaders would welcome higher standards of fitness across the ranks, but the US military already has fitness standards. Yes, they vary by branch, of course, and often adjust scoring by the age groups. But Pete Hegseth's message pushes the tone from meet the standard to look like you mean business, quote unquote. Let's just break down how exactly each US service handles fitness today. Let's start off with the US Army. As of June 2025, it has replaced its old test with the Army Fitness Test, AFT. The test now featuring deadlifts, push-ups, weighted sprints, planks, and a 2-mile run. Some combat roles require even tougher benchmarks. In the US Navy, it's push-ups, forearm planks, and either a swim or run for endurance. And in the US Air Force, run 1.5 miles, sit-ups, push-ups, and a waist-to-height ratio check. And combat roles face stricter rules. From 2026 on, airmen will be tested twice a year, with the 2-mile run counting for half the score. In the US Space Force, it started with Air Force standards, push-ups, run, plank, but it's now developing its own holistic fitness regime that considers continuous performance, health optimization, and capacity building. So yes, the US already expects a lot from its service members, but the question still is, does Hegseth's rhetoric change the culture? Because after all that talk, so-called fat generals, standards, resignations, the real question is, in the modern world, who are the fittest armed forces really? When it comes to the fittest armed forces in the world, the rankings are never simple, of course. Do we measure the fitness of the entire army or the extreme demands of the elite special forces, for example? Let's just start off with Russia. Spetsnaz. The training there is notorious. Long forced marches, brutal hand-to-hand combat, an unforgiving selection process that only the toughest can survive. Of course, the US Navy SEALs remain iconic, swimming miles in open water, running under heavy load, surviving what is called Hell Week. The program has become the benchmark of modern military toughness. And then there is Israel's Sayeret Matkal, an elite commando unit whose endurance training and survival tests are basically designed to break even the strongest recruits. Closer home, the Indian Army's para-special forces are considered among the toughest in Asia. What's their dropout rate? Almost 90%, with candidates enduring weeks of continuous drills on minimal food and sleep. The British SAS is also legendary. From the Welsh mountains to the jungles of Belize, their grueling selection regime demands unmatched endurance as well as resilience. Now, of course, different nations, different standards. But one thing here is clear: physical fitness remains at the core of military readiness. Or, to borrow Pete Hegseth's phrasing here, in the modern battlefield, no general wants to be called the fat one.